ultimately what we see if you're an investor is, you want to buy the buildings that tenants find most attractive. So that's buildings with 20-foot clear in terms of the ceiling heights, access to major thoroughfares, access to subways for your employees, roll-up gates, curb cuts. And so those are the things, if I was looking at it from an investment perspective in terms of building wealth.
What's the number one secret to really exploring and understanding the industrial Brooklyn real estate market right now, and or as a macro view, the last couple of years, and then we'll dive into more like what's happening here in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I would say industrial real estate in Brooklyn has been the most resilient asset class since COVID. So I think if you're an investor, it's really difficult because I think to understand building wealth in industrial real estate, you have to understand the dynamics of New York City and Brooklyn in general. There's a supply and demand efficiency because a lot of the warehouse product that existed before has been redeveloped into a higher and better use. So say a 6-unit condo or 6-unit high-end rental, if it's zoned residential, or there's been a lot of neighborhood rezoning. So like most recently, there was a Gowanus rezoning. And, throughout the past 10 to 15 years, there's been multiple rezonings where a lot of that industrial asset type has been redeveloped into residential. But with all that being said, there's still a ton of service businesses that still need to be in Brooklyn, close to New York City. And so there's a huge supply and demand imbalance. And so, for example, last year, there were 61 industrial transactions. 73% of those were under 5 million, and 84% of those were bought by users. So if I was talking to an investor today, what I would be saying is focus on larger deals, most likely above 10 million, where you could not have to compete against a user who's going to be able to price you out. Users usually pay 30 to 45% more than what an investor would pay for in today's market. And ultimately what we see if you're an investor is, you want to buy the buildings that tenants find most attractive. So that's buildings with 20-foot clear in terms of the ceiling heights, access to major thoroughfares, access to subways for your employees, roll-up gates, curb cuts. And so those are the things, if I was looking at it from an investment perspective in terms of building wealth, I would say focus on bigger. And then obviously all those factors that I just mentioned, you want to make sure that are included in your building so you can find good tenants that pay good rent and always be able to fill that space.